In this video I'm showing how I fixed a problem with a GE dishwasher. The model number is a mouthful, so I'll just put it on screen here. The issue with this dishwasher is that it just wouldn't turn on. It seemed as if it just had no power. None of the lights were coming on, and there was no response to the select cycle button. When I would hit the start button, nothing would happen, so it seemed like there were just no signs of life whatsoever. The first few times this happened, I was able to go to the electrical panel and find the breaker for the dishwasher, flip it off, wait a few seconds, and then flip it back on. If this step fixed it for you, that's great. I'm glad you got lucky. Enjoy doing your dishes, but if not, settle in because you're hanging out with me and my dog for a little while. Luckily, the repair is pretty simple, so I'll just jump into it here. Before proceeding, flip the breaker to kill power to the dishwasher. To begin, we have to remove this kick plate at the bottom of the unit. Mine was held in place by two Phillips head screws. Just back both of those out and the plate should come right off. You might have a strip of this noise dampening foam. It just comes right out as well. When it comes to electrical stuff, I'm a pretty big chicken, so I like to make a quick pass with a voltage detector before going further. It's not beeping at me, so everything's off. Next, we have to remove this small junction box cover. You just have to remove this single screw and then pull the box off. Then we have to disconnect the wires here that provide power to the dishwasher. On my unit, I just had to press down on this clip and then pull down on the connector. Next, we have to move this wiring out of the way. There's two screws on the side here that hold this junction box bracket to the frame. Just back both of those out and then push the bracket back a little bit and out of the way. We also need to disconnect the wires here that go to the front panel. Alright, so moving on, the two screws in the front here that have the little black rubber washer around them have to come out. As you remove the second one, this tray will probably start to come down. That's okay, that's the part we're after anyways. A few quick tips before moving further, just make note of how the wires are routed. The tray as well as the frame of the dishwasher has grooves for the wires to pass through. And these all have to line up just like this when you're putting it back together, otherwise the tray won't seat into place. Also, it might kind of help to keep notes of where each screw came from. Alright, so getting back into it, there are three connectors we have to remove from this board here. Each was held in place by a clip that you just have to press down on with your finger to disconnect it. The little reddish brown plug in the back is in kind of an awkward position, so it's a little tricky to disconnect. But with all the wires disconnected, you should be able to take this tray out from under the dishwasher. Alright, so as you probably assumed by now, this part here is the culprit. This part is known as the dishwasher control board, and it's the part we're going to be replacing. Here's a quick peek at the part number in case you're curious. To remove the board from the tray, this screw has to come out. The board is mounted on these little plastic posts. They've got these little tabs that pop out to hold the board in place, so we just have to depress those to remove it. I used a screwdriver to push each of the tabs in. To be honest though, this part was kind of fiddly, so I was messing with it for a minute before I got the board out. Alright, so replacement part here, I will leave a link to the one that I used in the description. I got it from Amazon. It was kind of expensive. There are options for a refurbished version of the part that are decently cheaper. I'll leave the part number on the video as well so you can shop around. Either way, replacing this single part was still cheaper and felt like it was less hassle than replacing the entire machine, so I chose to go forward with the repair. So new part and old part here, pretty much identical. So identical that I sharpied it on the old one so I wouldn't mix them up and reinstall the bad part. Anyhow, from this stage on, we're just putting it back together the way we found it. To put the replacement board back on the tray, we just have to press it back down onto those plastic posts. I nearly missed reinstalling this screw, so make sure you don't forget it. Now we can slide the metal tray back up under the dishwasher and begin reconnecting the cables. We just want to make sure we reconnect all three of the plugs to the board here. It's not a lot to see, it's pretty idiot proof, there's no chance to plug them into the wrong place or backwards or whatever. Back to the wires, make sure that they line up with the channels in the tray here. Then it's time to put the tray back up in place. In my experience, this was probably the hardest part of the repair. This was very fiddly, and it probably took me 5 minutes just to get this tray to line up correctly. It could have been partially the effect of just being at the tail end of this thing, of an afternoon working on the floor in awkward positions and being kind of tired anyways. I tried to find some advice I could give to someone who's following along with this repair and also at this stage and having trouble. All I could come up with is make sure that the wires are lined up with the grooves in the metal, and you are so close, don't give up now. After fooling with it for a minute, I finally got the tray back in place, and it turns out a jar of peanut butter was the perfect size to hold it there while I put the screws back in. The camera angle isn't great here, but I reconnected the cable for the front panel. Next we need to bring the junction box bracket back forward and reconnect it to the frame. Just put back the two screws that we removed here at the beginning, and then you should be good to plug in the power connector. Next, slide the junction box cover back in place. This can be a little fiddly, so you might have to finesse this in if the wires are getting in the way. Put the single screw back in that holds the junction box cover. Alright, and we're finishing up here. At this stage, you could choose to test it before putting everything back together, but I'm a gambling man. I put the foam back in place, put the kick guard back on, and put the screws in. At this point, I walked out to the electrical panel in the garage and flipped the breaker, and would you listen to that? We're back, baby. No more making crash jokes to my wife that I've got two dishwashers in the house and neither of them work. Now I've just got one that doesn't work. Sweetie, if you're watching right now, I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. You'd be so proud though, I fixed the dishwasher. I love you. Anyhow, that's all there is to it. I ran a test load and it's back to making dishwasher noises. About a month has passed between the time when I did this repair and posted this video, and knock on wood, everything's working so far, so I'm calling it fixed. I hope this video was useful. If you also have this GE dishwasher and it's having the same problem, hit the like button if this helped you out, and thanks for watching.